Hey, did you know I'm doing a toy drive for the kids? That's right. If you want to support underprivileged children this holiday season, click the link below or in my bio, and you'll be able to access our link to our toy drive. We're going through Amazon, so all you need to do is buy toys. You can see we've already got a ton of them. The more the merrier. We are looking for gifts still for the very young kids, as well as gifts for the older kids. Thank you to all who've already bought toys and donated. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much, and enjoy the video. Next up, we have Zach, and Zach wants to tell us that there's a lot of reasons to believe in Christianity, so let's bring Zach up and find out. Zach, if you could please provide me with your age and pronouns.
27, and he, him.
Okay, and Zach, you think there are good reasons to believe in Christianity. What would those be?
Yes. Just to preface, if I don't make a lot of sense, because it's 5:30, I'm from Australia. I'm on an active overnight, so I'm quite tired.
Okay.
Yeah, so just to preface, I think a lot of people focus on the negative things that have come out of Christianity, but not even of Christianity, of people twisting Christianity to suit them going out and doing something bad. Whereas I think when you actually look at the Bible, what it actually teaches, it's not bad for humanity to follow it. Of course, nowadays with people believing a lot of things that aren't, biologically true, or, go against biologically what we're meant to be doing, which I don't really have a strong opinion of either way. It has very good ground rules. It's what sets morality, and you can see that in countries that.
Which part of the Bible's? I'm sorry. Which part of the Bible's morality are we agreeing with?
I think so. I disagree with what the last caller said, where Jesus came and basically changed all the Levitical law. He never changed the Levitical law. He came. He even said he wasn't here to change the old law. So that would be the moral law that humanity should live by.
Okay. Why should I believe in a moral system that says it's okay to sell your daughter into sex slavery?
Okay, I want to know where that is, because I hear
it's specifically where the Bible. Yeah, I'll pull it up. The Bible specifically talks about what happens to Israeli servants and Israeli slaves after 7 years, and it says that. Yeah. Let me pull it up.
You able to give me the verse? Sorry.
Yep. Hold on. So it is. Exodus 21:8. And if we go to the full text of Exodus 21, it talks about the Hebrew servants. So it talks about how if you buy a Hebrew servant, he is to serve you for 6 years, but in the 7th year he shall go free. So it talks about how they go free if they're males. It says, but if a man sells his daughter, though, as a servant, she is not to go free as male servants do. But if she does not please the master who has selected her for himself, he must let her be redeemed. He has no right to sell her to foreigners because he has broken faith with her. If he selects her for his son, he must grant her the rights of a daughter. And if he marries another woman, he must not deprive the first one of her food, clothing, and marital rights. So it's basically selling her to be his wife slave. And then she's stuck as his wife slave. As long as he's pleased with her, she's stuck as his wife slave.
Okay. So would you agree that the Bible is not just purely parable, but it is also a historical document that, you know, you don't have to agree with everything in it, but it is a historical document that goes back and actually lists out things that were done back in those times.
Sure, but Exodus is specifically laws given to Moses by God that people are to follow.
Yes, correct.
So this would be one of those. This wouldn't be a
then,
parable. This would be a law that God gives to Moses to give to the Israelite people.
Oh, no, 100% I understand that. When it comes to these laws surrounding slavery, it isn't... Yes, God could have turned around and said, absolutely no slavery whatsoever. None at all. And that would make it a lot easier to defend this sort of crap in the Bible. But you have to, in order to change you need to change things in steps, if that makes sense. Like, you can't just go from one thing straight down to nothing.
Why did he not change in steps the eating of shellfish? He just told them, don't do that.
Well, Jesus did actually come and, you know, basically was like, oh, the meat is clean. What are you talking about? Like, it gets cleansed through
No,
the
but
body.
prior to this, in Exodus, or in Leviticus, God literally goes, don't eat shellfish, but he can't tell them don't own slaves.
Well, slave ownership was, one, it was different. It wasn't the sort of slavery of the, you know, of the South.
In Exodus, God affirms that a slave owner can beat their slaves as long as their slaves don't die. That it's okay to beat your slaves up until the point of death as long as they don't die. That seems pretty brutal of a slave. So even if it's different, that seems pretty brutal of a slave ownership, right?
Yes, it does seem pretty brutal, but a lot of slaves, when you look at the context that also goes into it, it's not a lifelong generational ownership of slaves.
It is for non-Israelite slaves. Leviticus 25 verses 44 to 46 says that your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. You may also own some of the temporary residents living among you and members of their clans born in your country, and they will become your property. You can bequeath them to your children as inherited property and can make them slaves for life. So it is generational slavery.
Does it mention that they can take the children that those people have as slaves? I'm talking generationally, as in those slaves will have children, and then those children will become slaves under the ownership of those people.
Okay, would that make it better? They're still owning people for their entire lives, and they're keeping people as inherited property.
I'm not saying it makes it better. Well, it technically is better than owning several generations of a family as slaves. It is technically better. You know, trolley situation. I'm not saying it's good. What I am saying is pulling the brakes on a trade that the entire world was utilizing in full force. Like, the Egyptians owned slaves, the Assyrians owned slaves. Slavery was one of the biggest exports, and, you know, was one of the biggest economical things back in that time. To turn around and say, hey, look, you're actually going to treat these slaves better. And
beating them is treating them better
than killing them.
The other people weren't killing them either. They were using them for labor. Killing them would have been pointless because they need them to be labor. Just really quickly. Wait, hold on really quickly. You said slavery was this thing that existed in all these societies and it was hard to get out. Why would the Israelites have had slaves though? They had just left Egypt, according to Exodus, They didn't bring any other people from other nations with them. Where would they wouldn't have had slaves as a practice in their society? But here is God telling them, you can actually go own slaves. Wouldn't it have been better for God to have said, hey, you guys don't have slaves, so you shouldn't start to own slaves?
What happened after the Exodus of Egypt?
God told the Israelites to go murder a bunch of people and take their virgins as sex slaves.
Are you talking about the siege of Jericho? Is it Jericho? Jericho?
This would be the Midianite people.
The Midianite. Look, I don't know too much about the Midianite. I know a little bit about Jericho. But when it came to basically, yeah, after the Exodus, they went and they took a bunch of land. When you take land, you tend to have prisoners of war, but back then you didn't have prisoners of war, you just kept them as slaves. And back then, you would just sell them off to whoever, you wouldn't care.
So God could have said, don't take, could God have not, because Moses gives the rules before any of this. Could God have just said to Moses, don't take war criminals? That is bad.
Okay. I just want to slightly pivot a little bit. I'm not trying to just like go away completely from the slavery topic. But sorry, I'm just trying to think. My brain's a bit slow today. When it comes to the point that I called to make, which was Christianity has been in the past used for things that aren't good and been twisted for things that aren't good, such as things like cults and, you know, debatably the Crusades. It has done a lot of good, especially in Western society, where we abolished slavery, and that decision, like that massive push to abolish slavery, was rooted in Christian belief. And a lot
the transatlantic slave trade used the Christian belief to push slavery, though. So, like, yes, I can go Christians got rid of the thing Christians implemented, and then like, I'm not going to pat Christianity on the back for fixing its mistake.
No, and that's fair enough. But I wouldn't say people going, oh yeah, we should be able to own black people because black people are less human than us. I wouldn't call those people actual Christians. They've twisted it.
No, they said we should be able to own black people because Leviticus tells us we can own people from the nations around us.
But when you look at Jesus's teachings, like if you were saying that the Jewish people implemented slavery, then I'd have a much harder time.
Jesus tells us to continue following the old laws. He tells us not to stop following the old laws. He never once tells people don't own slaves.
But he also says, treat your neighbors how you treat yourself. And treat, like, you know, he was very adamant. You wouldn't want to be a slave, so don't own slaves.
Why didn't he just outwardly say slavery is wrong?
Because the reason he spoke in parables and the reason he, you know, sort of went around issues indirectly pointing to them was because he had to be able to preach his gospel without just immediately getting killed by the Jewish people and immediately just getting strung up by the Romans.
He was already under threat of being strung up for saying the stuff he was already saying.
Of course he was. But the only point where he actually got strung up was when he said in front of the Sanhedrin, in front of the Romans, I am God.
No,
That is
he
when
didn't get
got
strung up.
crucified.
He didn't get crucified for saying I am God. He got crucified for being labeled the King of the Jews. They actually didn't believe they didn't believe in his God. So they didn't care if he was going around claiming he was his God. It was specifically for making a claim to political power, which was claiming he was the King of the Jews. That's the reason he was crucified. But Jesus outwardly tells
Yeah,
us,
and
a lot of sins not to do. He outwardly says that you shall not commit adultery in Matthew 5:27-28. He said, you have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. Like he says that, and then he says, but I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Like he outwardly goes against these things all the time. Why didn't he just outwardly say slavery is wrong?
I don't know. That is a good question.
I think it's because he didn't believe slavery was wrong. And then you have Paul, who went first and was the first person to write about his teachings. And Paul outwardly tells people that they should, that slaves should obey their earthly masters. Not saying that, hey guys, I talked to Jesus's ghost and he actually told me slavery was wrong. No, it's slaves you need to obey.
So here's the thing. While Jesus didn't explicitly condemn slavery, a lot of his teachings aren't compatible with slavery. So if you're to follow Jesus's teachings, you're not going to own slaves.
Which teachings specifically are incompatible with slave ownership?
He made plenty of parables, putting emphasis on equality between Gentile and Jew, and just the fact that he would even reach out and baptize Gentiles, which back then was a massive no-no. Like it was if you had to be Jewish and all this other crap.
Jesus specifically affirms that we're all only equal in the eyes of the Lord. That there's a reason why Paul says, in the eyes of Christ, neither Jew nor Gentile, neither male nor female, neither slave nor free. He's just speaking that like Jesus believes that we're all equal in heaven. He understands that on earth that's not the case.
The line you said, we're all equal in the eyes of the Lord, how does that not apply to the natural world?
Because God believes slaves are not equal to Israelites. Hence why he told Israelites it's okay for them to own slaves. It's okay for them to beat their slaves. It's okay for them to go and take virgins as sexual slaves. Like if God viewed us all as equal, he wouldn't have allowed the Israelites to do this.
I think the thing is in the eyes of the Lord, women have a role to serve and men have a role to serve. Men have a role of protecting and working and making decisions in the home. The wife or the woman in the home has the role of being subservient to the man, but not in this, not in the way that the world thinks at the moment, where it's like, oh, I just have to listen to every single thing he says without question, or else I'm going to get bitch slaps like it was back in the 50s and 40s. That's an instance there of Christianity.
Hold on. I'm just confused. What does this have to do with Moses specifically commanding under the Lord's purview for the Israelites to go and genocide a group of people and take the virgins as sexual slaves?
Because I have not researched the sexual slaves. I've only done research into the slavery that was more
so really quickly, Numbers 31:15-18 talks about the slaughter of the Midianite people, and Moses says specifically, now kill all the boys and kill every woman who has slept with a man, but save for yourself every girl who has never slept with a man. Why would they be saving the virgins for themselves?
Well, yeah, I'm reading the verse. It doesn't explicitly say for that reason.
What would be the only, what would be the reason of saving specifically the virgins? If not to, what would be taking the virgins for yourself? What would that mean? To save for yourself the virgins.
Well, what is it? Just first come, first serve. You see a virgin, you nab them. Like, what do you like?
Yeah. Kill all the boys and kill every woman who has slept with a man, but save for yourself every girl who has never slept with a man. What would be the point of saving them? What does that mean? Save for yourself.
Sorry, I'm just looking up some stuff so I can get a bit of a better grasp on this point.
I just don't know what else you would be saving women for yourselves for. I guess that's what confuses me.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. It could be for, it could be for sexual slaves. It could just be something else, maybe because
What else? What possible other else could there be?
could be that the people that weren't virgins slept with men outside of marriage or were immoral in their sexual promiscuity. So they
Sure, but he's not saying save
virgins.
all the virgins so they can come into our society. He's saying save. First of all, I think it's crazy that they're killing children, but not like little boys, but not killing the virgin women and the virgin girls. But he's saying, like, if that was the case, if it was just don't kill anyone that slept with someone outside of marriage, why kill the little boys? Why kill the virgin boys? Why kill the babies?
So when it comes to children, Jesus says it very explicitly in the Bible that what is it? That I don't know the exact scripture. I don't know the exact words, but basically that all children are pure in the eyes of the Lord. So
except Moses told the Israelites to kill all the boys, and God had no issue with this.
Yes. But what that means is it doesn't mean that, God didn't say that. It says he said that in the Bible. So what that means is those children are in heaven. They are not judged based on their parents' wrongdoing.
So killing them was okay?
Not okay, but it's sort of a trolley problem.
Okay, hold on. It's not a trolley problem at all. The trolley problem would be these people are definitely going to die and these people are definitely going to die. Who do we save? This problem is Moses going, kill all of them unless they're virgin girls. In which case, you get to take them for yourself.
The trolley problem I'm talking about is these children are going to grow up with a preconception of, all of our parents were killed by these people. We don't like these people. We're going to rebel against these people. We're going to try and kill these people from the inside.
So we kill the children because of a crime they may. Moses needed to kill the children for a crime they may commit in the future.
I'm sorry, it wouldn't be a may commit, but I agree. It's not cut.
It wouldn't be a may commit.
Not easy. It would. No, it wouldn't be a may commit. Just look at. I know this is shifting the topic a little bit, but just look at Palestine at the moment.
What about Palestine at the moment?
there are generations of children growing up in Palestine. There is footage of children in Palestine, in Gaza, calling for the death of all Jews because of what has happened and what they've seen.
There's footage of
happen to
children
their
in Israel
people.
calling for the death of all Palestine children and the death of all
Yes.
Palestinians. What's your point?
I'm not saying both. My point is, it wouldn't be in May if a group of people went into a place.
Can
slaughtered-
Moses see the future?
No, but you can predict.
So
the
then
future.
it is a may. It's not a guarantee because Moses can't see the future, and God never prophesizes to Moses that the innocent
fair.
boys are the boys that are slaughtered by the Israelites. Were those boys innocent? Had they committed
I don't
crimes?
know.
What about the babies?
don't-
Were the
well,
babies innocent?
Yeah, I'd say the babies would be innocent.
So why slaughter them?
I don't know.
And then why take the
That's-
women as your sex slaves?
Well, we don't know they were sex slaves, but I don't.
What else could they have been?
Again,
Take
I don't
for
know.
if I had two apples on my table, and I said, "Hey, Zach, there's apple A and apple B. Zach, don't touch apple A. Okay, I'm eating that one, but you can have apple B for yourself." What does that mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
So then, like,
But again, like you're basing your entire argument of why Christianity shouldn't exist
on
based
Christianity, based on what
No,
Christianity
you're
tells us.
basing it purely on slavery because that's the only argument you've brought up so far. And
That's just the argument I'm using.
Keep
I
coming back to it.
can make others, but I think it's the most compelling argument. So that's why I keep coming back to it. I think the most compelling argument when Christianity tells us it's okay and moral to own another person and beat that person as long as they don't die, I think it's pretty fucked up.
I don't agree that the Bible considers it moral and right to do it. I
You
think-
may. What does it mean? What does God mean when he says you may do something? It means that thing is not morally incorrect. It means it's morally permissible. He says specifically you may own slaves. You may beat your slaves as long as they don't die. You may do these things. Means God is saying you can, meaning it's not immoral to do. But that's I mean, sit with that maybe, and maybe in the future you'll realize, oh shit, I was wrong. There's slavery, and the Bible says it's okay. And maybe you can call back at a later date, Zach, and tell us. Thanks for calling. Thanks for playing the game. Hey, thank you all for watching this video. If you don't know me, I'm Jovan Bradley. I'm a leftist content creator who does debates, political commentary, gaming, and more. If this is your first video, thanks for sticking to the end, and I hope you subscribe. I post videos daily, and there are hundreds of past debates on my page for you to enjoy. Thank you to all my YouTube members. Your continued support helps me create as much as I can. Consider joining. A membership starts at $2.99 and gets you access to our community Discord, early access to videos, and more. Shout out to my Tier 4 members, Red Fairy DF, Ellie McReady, Not 3.6R, Sylvia Snow, Paul D, Zurith Moonpaw, Kazim, Never Again, Bamji, Emery Imogene, Ayla Ursus, Call Me Vel, Kelsey K, Jake Gorshander, Matthew Holloway, Vampy, Yemye, Mealy, and Dragon Nerd. Your continued support goes a long way in helping me continue the fight for equity, justice, and education. Thank you again for watching.